What's up, YouTube fam? It's Dark Angel's Journey. I'm Shakir. I know that I didn't actually schedule this, and I did post on my community list that I would do a 10 a.m. live today, so we're just gonna do that. Um, One of the things that I wanted to do is review all of my trades for April. So I am going to pull up. This is gonna be like an hour live today because I got a lot of stuff to do today, but I didn't want to not give myself the opportunity to review all of my trades and my growth and adjust my mindset around how I have been trading. So I had a really nice 1 week that was really nice, and then I kind of spiraled, which is not great. I don't know if I need to. I'm just grabbing my journal, and I guess we'll use one window for the moment to do all of this. So looks like I got a short on the 1st of April. So let's see what was happening then. Let's see if I can. Okay, let's go. Let's do some replay and let's look at the date. I'm going to select by date. So we are April 1st, and it looks like I got that trade in the morning. Nope, in the PM. So let's look at April 1st. I hope I haven't deleted my my setups. Okay, so looks like when you go back to April 1st, you need to actually go back to April 2nd. So let's go to the daily. And odd. Let's go to the 1 hour. It's weird. All right, let's move that forward a bit. It's a little messy, so I apologize, but let's see. Let's go to the daily and just go over one more day because did it do it? Let's see. No. Midnight. 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to get the hours going here. Maybe I just need to scroll back. You know what? Yeah, let's do it that way because this is annoying me. Let's leave that. Let's do that, and let's just go back to April 1st. It's March. April 2nd. April 1st. Okay, let's zoom in over here. First, okay, looks like I had spec'd something out, but it looks like I almost missed it. I would think. Looks like I missed it. So let's see what I was thinking. So usually everything I'm looking for is some sort of higher time frame, shift in structure. Well, sweep of liquidity first, then a shift in structure. Then I want to see either an inversion fair value gap or just a regular fair value gap form so I can get in on the trade. So looks like I had spec'd out some buy side liquidity here. We had a sweep of it, and then maybe I was looking for a short. So I'm going to move this here so I can see the chat if anybody says anything, and then I can look at my journal over here. And let's zoom in even more so I can see even better. Yeah, so it looks like I took a 3 micro short and it was at like 245, 230-ish on a retracement. So somewhere inside of this candle right here, I was looking for a retracement and a continuation to probably take this low or that, which we did get, but not, not before stopping me out. So it was, but the question is, why didn't I get a nice, let's plop this to here. Can I get the bar and then just move it here so I can at least just drop down to the lower time frames? So let's look on the 5-minute. So I had spec'd this out. I see what happened. I was looking for the shift in structure, secondary shift, and I missed that entry right there. So then that forced me to take a short on this candle right here. Let me see if I'm looking at it right. What time frame? That's the 1 minute. So we'll come back down. But so my original thing was we were climbing. I was waiting for one shift. It swept the liquidity up here. Then an engulfing candle took out the first market structure shift here. Then we formed another order block. And then, yeah, so typically what I would do is I would take the short from here down to the nearest level of liquidity, which for me would have been, I think this is a higher time frame, bullish for value gap. So let's see. So we had a shift and I have this in the wrong color, which is not great. That should be a light green. You know what? Let's set that to a busy. So then this bullish fair value gap became an inversion right there. After the sweep, technically it could have taken sweep of liquidity, engulfing, could have taken the entry here as well. Not bad. Secondary entry after the shift below here would have been at the order block. Stop above this guy. That wasn't even that big, so that would have been a 2 micro trade, yeah. So that's what I was looking for, and this is technically what I wait for. Like, I wait for sweep of liquidity, engulfing shift, second order block form, take it out of the order block, and then for a continuation stop above the OB. So obviously I missed that trade. Let me check my notes to see if it said anything about why I did that. Okay, so I was saying the trade was a bit late, but a retracement back up into in the PM. Let's look at this on the 1 minute, a time frame that I have been absolutely ignoring, honestly, seriously. Okay, so it looks like once we tapped back up into this guy, I took a short here, which technically isn't a bad play, but not the perfect play. It doesn't have so I took a short here, and I was looking for them to continue on down. Looks like we were in at the 50% at this point, at the 50% of a higher time frame bearish for value gap. So I was hoping they wanted to drop down to the 25%, which is about 24, which is about further down. So I would have just been reaching somewhere in here. So we got it, dropped, and then I moved my stop to right about here. I was looking for a continuation. So small win, but definitely not the best sort of setup. So let's see what for this particular day. I mean, honestly, the only real setup was, let's see, what time was this? At 1:45. This was the only real good setup. And then honestly, like, if I remove this and and think about the 5-minute fair value gap here. And when they tap that, so if we look at that on the 1 minute, what time was this? So this would have been just before 4, so I wouldn't have wanted to touch that. This here, because they swept that but stayed, no bodies there. So then the body there, stop above that. So that would have been a 2 micro trade. And then would have been looking for those lows. And let's see, if no way we would have, no way we would have held through that. But yeah, we would have gotten it, looks like at 9 p.m. Would have been sitting in profit, then living in some bullshit, another sweep. And here we have another scenario just like it. Sweep of liquidity, engulfing, take that. Continuation. All right, so the only real viable trade for me, and let me look at this on the 1 minute. So on the 1 minute, this is the 5-minute shift. On the 1 minute, after this sweep right here, roll back up. This is the 1 minute order block, the sweep. So then the entry would have been here with a stop above there. I really probably need to go back to setting my entries on the 1 minute. I don't know why I've gotten so scared of using it. And then that would have played out nicely at 1:45. Okay. All right. So that's the trade I should have taken. I was very late on that trade. So the next trade I took was on 4/7. So let's roll back over to 4/7. Let's go back to like the 1 hour and then just scroll over to the 7th. Don't know why there was like a 6-day space in between, but all right, so this is the 7th right here. Looks like I took a short and I got things. Was one of those like I was preemptive trades. The setup was perfectly exactly what I needed, and I did not wait for a perfect setup. So let's go review. I think I have something sitting over here with it. It's the 8th. This is the 7th. Okay, so this trade happened in the morning. So that's 12, 7th. So in this general vicinity. All right, let's look at what time was this in my thing here. It's also on the 1 minute. So I was looking for a continuation short. And I got stopped out a bit too early. Whoops, hold on. Should have moved the bar back. It's the 7th. Okay, let's set the bar. Let's drop it there so we can see what's happening. Okay, so in this general vicinity here, let's drop it to a 5 minute. All right, so yeah, so there's the setup I was thinking about, right? That I took and I got stopped. I was preemptive for sure. So I was waiting for them to come back up and I took it here. My stop was at the top here. I got stopped out and then it ran to my TP, no problem. So what I'm realizing I messed up with is like I didn't think about the order block here to give it a little bit more room. And let's go to the 1 minute because I feel like if I'd waited just a bit, I was a bit preemptive for sure with this entry. Definitely preemptive. I didn't get the engulfing that I usually like to see for it. And I just sort of, like this guy right here, got in on this green candle right here. And then this candle knocked me out because my stop was above this candle, thinking that was the tap and the drop. I mean, honestly, it's not a terrible trade when I think about it. They just managed to take me out. They So with that engulfing, like, I mean, we tapped the 5 minute and then we engulfed it to left of fair value gap. It's literally what I look for. So there's no reason why I wouldn't have gone for that. So I'm not mad at that trade. What I should have done though is re-entered when I got into it. Let me see. Can I? That's what I should have done. I should have re-entered. And I think I actually have my stop up a little further up. But this option gave us this inversion after this, but no engulfing until it took it out here. So then the option at this point could have been to take it at the order block, set the stop above that guy. So this would have been a 1 micro trade afterwards to take out the sell side liquidity. Now, what would that have netted us? Okay, I guess I have to. So that would have been a 1 micro trade. So 61.75. Let's use Wolfie's position calculator. So at 61.75 for 102. 61.75 for 102 TP. Assume we were somewhere in there. It's about 280 on a single micro. So that wouldn't have been too bad. I had still a 1 micro trade on this to get stopped out, and I didn't take it again. Per my notes, the setup was solid. I was patient, waited for the 5-minute FVGs to be retraced, and they wanted to tag it twice. So they took my stop out and ran to my TPF after messing about. I'm like, I swear this is a disappointment, but at least I was spot on. Yeah, I was feeling sort of sad that day with that BS. I know I have this, but it's annoying as hell. Okay, so the way I write my journal needs to become a lot more positive. Absolutely. All right, so it looks like I took along on a feeling. On the 8th, and then I took a nice short. So I took what looks to be 3 trades on the 8th. So let's go see what that looked like. But let's see if there was like a cleaner setup on the 5-minute, because that's the point of this, right? Like reviewing what we could have done. Well, on the 5-minute could have done one of two things. So instead, what's that? Control Z. Okay, so instead of waiting for the 1-minute engulfing, we could have done, with the wick, we could have set it at the midpoint of the wick. We would not have gotten tagged in. Could have set it at the base of the wick. It still would have been a 1 micro trade. And then go for that. So it would have been a similar situation. So that would have been if I wanted to stay on the 5-minute. And this was very aggressive and it didn't take that out. So I would have wanted to be above there. So the stop would have been a lot wider. But the TP would have been more. So that would have been just a little over 1 to 2. So I need to not be so picky about the 1 micro trade. So I like the 2 microsecond, like take partials, but that doesn't always work, right? So this would have been 71.25 and 155.25. So I just need to do this to remember that there's profit to be made with a single micro. That would have been 370 on a 1 micro trade. I mean, come on. All right. So let's roll back to the daily, actually to the 1 hour, and let's go to the 8th, because I took what looks to be 3 trades on the 8th, and it looks like I took 1 loss, a break even, and a win on that day. So let's take a look. So from my notes, I took a long on a feeling, which feelings are not where you want to be when you're trading. So let's see. What do I have spec'd out for the 8th here? So let's move the bar down this way so we can get a closer look. All right, drop to the 5-minute. Did I leave my long setups in here? Pretty sure this is a short I caught. Very nice short. And this is the long, yep. So I'm glad I don't remove my setups. So I took this long as well. All right, so this was on a feeling. And I guess the feeling was because we were holding above the bearish fair value gap, no bodies below it. And this candle, I think, was still forming, which is why you don't want to take things when it's forming and wait for it to actually form and then retest and then go. So I got stopped out on that. So no feelings. Feelings are bad. Feelings are bad. Proper setup is where it's at. So the second long entry was here. Stop was below here, and it actually went pretty close to TP, and it looks like I just chose not to. And that was on a 2 micros. This is before I was taking partials, which is silly of me, because I could have taken a partial right there. This is a very nice setup, even if I almost got stopped out. And this order block is not my favorite type of order block, if I'm being honest with you. It's really not. Technically, if I was really paying attention, the entry would have still been here, but I would have waited for this candle to close above and then the retest. Because then this would have told me we've tapped into this bullish order block. We stayed above the midpoint, no bodies. And then all of the candles here are showing wicks at the base and barely any wicks on the top. So we're still going to continue up. So it would have still been the same trade, but I took it here. So I had to sit through this heat before it moved up. And then I moved my stop, I think, to right under here. And then I got stopped out basically at break even. Or just enough to cover fees, I think. So it definitely looked promising. And then I said to myself, I'm going to close out. I didn't though, which I'm actually quite happy that I didn't do that. So just looking at I took a short after an aggressive drop. So this short now, after this aggressive drop, we created an order block here. And we are at the base of this 5-minute. Bodies respecting the midpoint of this. I took the short here, and that was a nice, easy continuation trade. I got out at 25.011. Right around here, because I was like, I'm not going to do what I did earlier and give back my profits. So it was a 2 micro trade. And if I just held on to my TP, which was further down, I would have gotten the full pull. That's all right. Still a very good trade. Very good setup. Honestly, I felt better about it once we started to see where the staircasing down there. I felt better about it there, but I don't know, the aggressive move, the lack of its ability to continue up higher after this trade, and the close below this fair value gap that they were holding up from, that's actually a pretty good setup from a continuation perspective. So a trade at the base of this is well within my normal space of things to do. The other way we could have taken this trade too is if once we broke below here, we had a fair value gap here and the order block here. So we could have put it at the order block, and I don't know if we would have gotten tagged in. Looks like not, but I like I like to use the fair value gaps for their whole purposes. Hey, hey, hey. Hi. Yep. I'm just here by myself. I didn't give anybody any time to say I'm coming, so Anyway, all right. Is there anything I could have done better, like say on the 1 minute for this trade? I'm just trying to think because I need to really get back to using. Once I've identified where I want to get an entry, I need to go back to going to down to the 1 minute to specify my setups. So on the 1 minute, I wouldn't have had anything to work with. I took that based off of the aggressive setup. On the 2 minutes, there would have been a break here, which is one of my favorite things. So if I had waited, I would never have gotten tagged in there. So that's unfortunate. So I'm trying to be a little less scared about what I need to do. One thing though, I've noticed, and something that I need to pay attention to is this drop right here, we swept a bunch of liquidity and then we had an engulfing candle here. Technically, if I really wanted to go long and I wanted to be a lot more aggressive about the longs, then I could have taken it at the body there and then given myself a little space below the midpoint of that wick and then maybe aimed for the bodies there, and that would have been a good trade. I would have to sit in some drawdown here. So I'm just curious. Let's go to the 1 minute on that one and see what we could have done to get in on this a little earlier. So yeah, we had the 1 minute shift here, and then we had the rejection, and yeah, still would have needed to see this pop up. So I'm thinking of using the 5 minute engulfing for entries moving forward. This one's not perfectly engulfing, so it wouldn't have been perfect, but the next entry with the engulfing would have been this one, and then the stop would have been here. That would have been better, and I would have gotten in at 11:35. Beautiful. And then we could have gone up here, and then that would have been a 2 micro trade as well, and that wouldn't have had any. So this was the better version of the engulfing. Yeah, I gotta work on that. All right, so had a good trade that day. All right, so the next trade I took was on the 14th. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so we're on the 14th. It was a continuation long. I think this day was the best trade I've ever taken. It was my first chance getting a continuation trade in and taking partials. So I was very excited about this one. So let's do that. And I think I have the trade setup already spec'd out here. Let's go on to the 5 minute. Yeah. So I had so what time was this? 2:30. Yeah, so my entry was 2:40, and I was on the 1 minute. And there was a fair value gap that I was looking at. Let's see what that was. Oops. Yeah, so the entry actually wasn't even this. It was on this. Actually, no, that's right. It was on this candle. So I got in here, stops below here. And that's the thing about trending markets. It was beautiful. So I got a partial out right here on this candle. And then the rest came off right on that doji candle right there. Beautiful trade. All right, let's go up to the higher time frame and take a look at what we were looking at. So we had a very, very bullish trend up. They tap back down into this order block, and then we roll back up and then continued. So it's a nice sweep. This is not quite engulfing, but this one finished engulfing it. So, yep, continuation longs, beautiful. Let me look at the 1 minute, because I was wondering if we could have set an entry a little bit more aggressive on the continuation, because sometimes I can be a bit timid. Let me plop this here. So I'm pretty sure this is the bullish fair value gap I was looking at for the long I took that day. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I wanted an entry here on the body. So this is the entry I was looking for with a stop below here. So I got it on that candle when it came down and tapped it. Beautiful confirmation, stayed above the midpoint, and then we just ran up. And we got all the way up to about here, partial taken right here, and then the rest up here. It's a good trade. Good setup. Nice sweep. We have a fair value gap in the middle of this, so I could have even taken it at the top of that. But we're already inside of a higher time frame for fair value gap, so I much prefer to take it at the top of that and just make sure that I'm covered by the bigger fair value gap, the smaller one, and the order block. So, yay! And this order block is insanely large, but I'm just assuming the bottom one's down here. That was a very, very good trade. I was very proud of myself that day. Well thought out, well set up, beautiful. All right, so the next day that we took a trade was on the 16th. And let's go to the 16th. It's the 17th. There's the 16th. So looks like I got a similar long. In trending markets, it's just so much easier to take the trades. Seriously, so much easier. So I set a 2. Yeah, so this one I got stopped out with a weird wick. I moved my stop too soon was the issue with this one. Yep. And then they wicked down, and it's hilarious because I'm pretty sure the very next day I set myself up so I wouldn't get stopped up, and I was good to go. Yes, I put my stop here. I got in here. We're moving nice and aggressively up, and then I put my stop, and here's a stupid thing. Let's zoom in. So normally I would have I put my stop here and got stopped out, but normally my stop would be right below here. That's where it should have been, right? I don't know. I was trying to lock in more, so I got tagged out instead of getting my full, TP on this one. It was kind of sad, honestly. So the moral of the story is don't mess with the stop too much. Like, you've got a good trade, leave it where it needs to be, let it run, and then you can start managing the trade after that. So I'm looking to see what I could have done better on this one. So we had very aggressive, we had retracement back into a higher time frame fair value gap. Lovely. Basically respecting the midpoint of this thing. And then, so what I could have done was just taken an entry at the top. So then I would have had something like this. And then that would have made it a 1 micro trade instead of the 2 micro trade I took. Or, oh, there's a big wick. Or look at the inversion here. Oops. That. And oh, that's what I did. I took it at the inversion that got disrespected here. Yep. Then I got stopped out by this nasty little wick. Oh wells, O's and wells. We've learned the moral of that story, so we'll be all right. Yeah, so I got it at the inversion of this fair value gap as the entry because we busted above it. Beautiful entry. Actually, I got in on this candle, yeah. So I remember this one. I was trying to get in a bit earlier, so I put my entry here and it just moved up and never tapped it, and I was like really salty about that. All right, let's look at this objectively. Let's move this. Let's delete that for the moment. All right, so we had beautiful drop. I could have taken it at the inversion along with the propulsion block here. Yeah, right there. And then I could have, so my entry could have been right there. And then my stop could have been under this low. I still would have preferred this one. So that is still a 1 micro trade. And then I could have taken it to here easily enough. So 124.25. Let's see. And that wouldn't have been a huge, actually I would have wanted it below the midpoint. So let's just put it below the low. Put the stop where it needs to go no matter what. Okay. So 88. Because that's what's been messing with me all, at 88. You know, it's not even a 1 micro trade. Protected low, we would have had to adjust it. Yeah. Okay, so the trade I took was still pretty great. It's just I moved my stop too soon. All right, so looks like I got another trade on the 17th. This is 16th, okay. This is the week I was green, which was really nice. Green week, oh my god. Trending markets, all you gotta do is wait for what makes sense. Just wait for what makes sense. Trades I could have taken on the 15th. I didn't take anything on the 15th, but these were trades I was thinking about and didn't take. I don't know why, but this session is about reviewing the trades I did take and seeing if there's anything I could have done better. So my intuition would have wanted me to take, because this one once we failed to go lower and started moving up, I was trying to catch it here, but just never got the order filled. And that would have been perfect because my stop wouldn't have been up here. It would have been, probably right here, and then I would have been fine. But I ended up getting it up here instead. So right there. And then this candle took me out, man. Even if it was just below this, just this would have been fine. I got to remember it's okay to take the loss. It's nothing wrong with that. So this week was pretty nice. And then on the next day now, let's snip over to the next day. And trending markets, man, is where it's at. Like trending markets is where you want to be taking those trades, on the 17th, it's over here. So I got a relatively easy long. Let's come over here, snip to the 5-minute. So similar scenario as the day before. And this time I did not move my stop because I don't know why. I thought they were going to do the same bullshit they did. They came real close though. It was the 2 micro trade. They came really close to trying to stop me out and then just went straight to TP. All right, what could we have done better with this trade? That's the whole point, right? Like, so we retraced back into this higher time frame PD array. You know what? So this is kind of engulfing, but not really. So I decided to take it at this inversion instead of taking it here with a stop below here. What would that have been like? So that would have been a 1 micro trade. So that was the all-time highs right there. A 1 to 173. It's not terrible. If I wanted a 1 to 2, would have gotten that. Because, I mean, they're going to take all-time highs, and then they're going to run a little bit, and then they're going to meander, and then they're going to drop. It's usually what happens. Whenever they take the highs or the lows, they always, like, pander about a little bit, and then they, like, shoot above it, and then, you know, take a little bit more, and then they start retracing back down again. And then you might get lucky on those off chances where they, like, literally just keep going. Which isn't like a thing that happens a ton. Let's look at this on the 1 minute. Like, could I have done anything else? Anything different on the 1 minute? Okay, so we had what is essentially a shift on the 1 minute here. When it was wicking like this, I really disliked the wicking, you know? Technically, we had a nice shift here. So I could have, there's a small break right there. So on the 1 minute, I could have set my order, which would have still put me in a similar place. My stop right there still would have been a 1 micro trade and would have gone up. But it was a 1 micro long that I took, yeah. So I could have still taken the 1 micro long, but I could have taken it here. Instead, I didn't see much drawdown here. And then this wick was really annoying, but it missed me. And then once they started moving up, my stop would have been here. And then I would not have been ticked out with that. And then TP hit. Still a good trade. I took it on the 5 minute. So I've been really enjoying taking the trades on the 5 minutes. But I'm thinking maybe I need to be using the 1 minute for more, what's the word I'm looking for? For more aggressive entries and smaller stops. Could have done this engulfing right here and put my stop just below it. That would have made it a 2 micro trade. Once that candle closed. But again, I would have still wanted the entry to be here because they've been tapping it so much. And then I would have wanted my stop down here. So it still would have been a 1 micro trade no matter what I did. 2 minute any better for this? Oh yeah, look at that. So the 2 minute would have netted me this order block and fair value gap. So I would have taken that there. Still would have been a 1 micro trade. And I would have gotten my TP. That wick, my stop would have had to be there once it started moving up. And yeah. Because I learned the day before not to move it too soon. Okay. All right, still pretty good trade. All right, next trade was on 421, and I definitely started spiraling after this winning week. My first week of wins, consistent. So crazy. I was so excited, and then I just started tanking it. Which I guess is not weird, but it really does suck. So then right after that, I just started taking... let's see, I took a 2 micro long after they swept the liquidity and shift twice on the 5 minute. 50 minutes choppy, and I got stopped out. Okay, so they swept liquidity from me. We got 2 shifts on the 5 minutes. I mean, type of trade I would have... Oh yeah, I was just spiraling this day. I took a short, hoping for a continuation. Okay, let's take a look. The 21st. Let's grab the replay button and let's get looking at this. All right, so let's drop to the 5 minute. So I took a long first. And this was at just about 10. Yeah, because of this, the shift in structure on the 5 minutes. So this first shift here, and then I took the long here at the body because I don't like those long wicks. I figure they have to come back down. Stop a little bit into there. I was hoping for them to come up, continue up. But why did I think this was a sweep of liquid? Well, I guess all of this. Yeah, it was a bit of a choppy sort of day. And then I honestly probably should have waited for another like bullish candle for the entry here. But I do like seeing that, like that's another shift for me. Entry here, stop below here. So I would have, that was a 2 micro trade, I think. Yep. 2 micro trade, got stopped out on this candle. All right, so what did I do wrong with this one? Let's go up to the 1 hour. Oh, that's the 1 minute. Okay, so what did I do wrong? So there was sell-side liquidity down here on the higher time frame that they wanted to run into. And nothing in here, not even a fair value gap that, at least for, well, hold on. So London lows were down here. They did sweep it. The overarching direction was bullish, so it's not the best trade. It's not the worst either. And it looks like I tried a 3 micro short and just missed the boat in the middle of all of this chop. I got stuck in the chop. Dang. So, yeah, it was just and this trade would have been pretty good, after this, and then they broke this low, then, a continuation down made a ton of sense. I mean, the sweep of London, staying inside of this fair value gap and then running back up nicely, it's not a bad trade. I would take that again, honestly. This one, though, like, we ran up. I'm pretty sure I was preemptive. Yeah. It's preemptive with this guy, and then this candle stopped me out, like right there. Let's look at my screenshots here. So I think what I did wrong here was the engulfing on the short wasn't properly engulfing. Yeah, that's what I did. I was preemptive and I didn't get the engulfing I was looking for. So I took it here. I didn't get the engulfing and I got stopped out there. This is the entry that I should have taken because here's the engulfing, and I could have taken it there when I gotten tagged until 11:52, and then my stop would have been up here, still pretty small, so still would have been a 3 micro trade. Honestly, yeah. And if I got tagged in here, we didn't take any lows out, I couldn't move my stop anywhere. And then I would have been aiming for these lows on 3 micros. That would have been nice. 26.75 for 98. Let's see. For 98 points on 3 micros. 622, yeah. It's just a rough looking setup. guess the other thing I could have done if I was just doing the 5 minute is once, if I wasn't being so preemptive, I could have just stayed on the 5 minute, my stop up there, and then just waited for them to drop. And then this candle would have been scary, and then more chop, 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 and then it would have finally dropped. The other option after this candle, I could have still taken it here, then I would have had to put my stop above that as well. Because this is a big rejection. I was hoping for the rejection to continue, so that would have been good too. You know. I wonder if I could have also tried for. Nah. It's like the only things like on the 1 minute, you're waiting for that engulfing for the setup. And that's what I need to not be too preemptive for. So I could have taken at the midpoint, the top right there, stop above here. And then I would have gotten tagged in here, seen good thing, then this, and then eventually that trade would have taken hours. Would have taken hours. Let's see, how long? From when it would have gotten tagged in to right about here. An hour and 16 minutes sitting in that trade. I think the moral of the story is don't move your stop too soon. All right, so that was a good setup. I just wasn't patient. So that was entirely on me. Let's see, 427. I took a long based on the structure. MNQ was moving very sluggish. I attempted to add another micro. I made the stop really tight, and that one got stopped out. And then I took a win on the second one to bring it back. Yeah, so let's go to the 27th. All right, let's go to the 27th. I didn't trade very well last week. That week just made me very sad, honestly. But honestly, reviewing this, it just shows that my trading wasn't terrible. I just didn't, I was just too impatient in places, which is not great. All right, so here are all the trade setups. Lovely sweep of liquidity. Sweep of liquidity, dropping, shift. Let's go down to the 5 minute. So this is in the PM because I didn't like all the wicking. So the trade, technically I shouldn't have taken a second micro because I wouldn't have taken the loss. Just sit on the first micro, keep my stop where it is. Let me look at this entry. Yeah, so I didn't need to take a loss on this because I put the stop right here for the second micro. Then I moved the first micro stop, which made it a bigger loss, which is very silly on me, but it is what it is. So this first trade should have been fine. This is saying it should have been a 2 micro trade from the entry that I got. It came back down. It was scary. I saw the return back up. On this candle, it didn't close the way I wanted it to. I wanted it to close like this one. It didn't do that. So I made it tight, and then I moved the wrong single micro stop. So I don't think. All right, so my internet acted up for that short period. I apologize for that, you guys. Trying to decide what would have been a better trade. So after all this, there was this engulfing, but I wouldn't have trusted it. We'd been going down. That's my problem. Like, I have no trust. So once I started seeing this, I felt better. Was there like a higher time frame for value gap or anything I could have been using to help me feel better about this setup? Let's see. No, I would have needed something clean. Still was a good trade though. I was looking at a higher time frame for value gap, but it was a daily one. Yeah. Okay. All right. I just messed up the entries, but it ended up being a pretty good trade. I was looking at it on the 1 minute here. Let's see, is that the 1 minute or the 5 minute? It was the 1 minute. Okay. So, okay, so I got an entry on this candle up here. And then I added another one on this candle. And then my stop was really tight. I got stopped out. Honestly, if I wanted to make this like simple, I could have, after this big push up, I could have just set my 1 micro trade here, and then I could have had 4 micros, and I absolutely got out here because it just wasn't looking like it was going anywhere. So 22 at 39.75. Let's see, 22 and 39 points approximately. So 3 micros at $300. I mean, that would have been worth it if I'm being honest. But hindsight is 2020, and I was definitely looking at the 5 minute candle for that. And I wouldn't have held into 4 o'clock. So it wasn't a great setup. It was a good little catch up and save myself from myself. Yeah, so then the 28th, I just started acting the fool, which made me very sad, honestly. So let's take a look at what I did on the 28th. And I pretty much just, like a lot of people talk about going on tilt and all that stuff. Like I absolutely didn't do that, but for me, not following my rules is very much like going on tilt, And it makes me sad that I've been doing this, for years now, and I'm still there. And I understand it takes time, but it can be really depressing sometimes, honestly. But that's okay. I'm growing. The problems and things that I've been working through are entirely different from what they were a year ago, 2 years ago. So I'm very proud of myself. I can feel the shift coming. All right, so what could I have done better? So I was pretty dang sure that I had a long idea set up for this. So from 10 o'clock, we've been dropping. I ended up taking, why don't I have these spec'd out? I took a preemptive short. Well, not preemptive. It's where I wanted the original short. Okay, I remember what happened. I put my short entry in, and I decided to let it sit, and then I got stopped out. I shouldn't have done that because this is where I wanted the original short. And as soon as it started going down, I set my short order at the bottom of this, but we never came back up to tap it with my stop right there. So that was a 2 micro trade. So if I'd caught it, then I would have been able to get the long I wanted, but I missed it. And for whatever reason, I decided to take it here because I was thinking maybe they wanted to drop into the volume imbalance. Shouldn't have done that because normally, like once I've missed the trade and they've taken like a significant low out, then I usually don't take that trade again, which is kind of sad for me. There's a long that developed. So I took the trade here with my stop there. And I got stopped out on that candle, which is kind of silly. So what I should have done, what I could have done instead to make this actually be useful, this is once it rolled up in here, when this down close candle formed, I should have waited for it to break below this higher time frame fair value gap, and then I could have taken a short here. I didn't need to get stomped in the hopes that my original idea, which was correct, would have worked. Now, what I should have done for the retracement, because I was looking for the retracement, I just didn't know where it was going to stop. So what I should have done is, like, once we rolled up in here and then we finally got like a nice bearish move, I should have felt comfortable taking it at the fair value gap here, stop right here at the top. So I've been on 1 micro trade, and then, you know, take it down to the lows. Shoot, I could have been, I would have, I think I know what I was thinking that day. I wanted a 2 micro trade. I was looking for that. And I wanted to take a partial here and then another one and see if it would make it all the way down here. So on the 1 minute, I had this option right here. When this came back up again, I would have had to sit through a little bit of heat. And then once it started staircasing down, I could have taken it again. Once this closed below, I could have also taken this here. Again, 1 micro trade, and then just put a stop up here. Not my preference. This would have been the better trade. Or we've disrespected this fair value gap here. So once we did that, not here, but here, I could have taken that entry there with a stop above that guy. And still a 1 micro trade, not as big of a potential loss, and that would have worked as well. But I put my entry here as a little slow, so I didn't get tagged, which is annoying. And then I missed out on the rundown. Then I took that loss, so that was an unnecessary trade. And then once realizing that I did that, I should have we swept the lows, shifted. Well, this is the low right here. There's a shift here. When that happened, order block formed. Nice shift here. I swear to goodness, I should have been thinking about a long. Once we busted above here, we had a fair value gap. I could have put that there, stop below here, and that would have been a 1 micro trade to go up to the midpoint of this guy, and then just manage it on the way up. But I wouldn't have liked the sideways action. So the secondary option would have been here or here, since it busted above it. And then we wouldn't have gotten much out of it, but yeah. That would have been the options there. So then on the 29th, I took a preemptive short because I was being a dum-dum. Because yay, that's a thing. All right, let's finish this up. So on the 29th, I took a preemptive short like a silly girl that I didn't need to take. And let's see. Giving away all my profits from April. That trade wasn't even at an order block. Jeez. Yeah. It was just a silly short. I don't think I took any other trades. 29th. I grabbed that at 10. So 29th. Okay, let's get the replay here. It was preemptive, and I definitely got my arse handed to me for that one. So this is what I should have taken, because you had a nice sweep, shift. You would have gotten in here and got a little bit, but it wouldn't have been everything. Yeah, so I was very preemptive on that. I don't know that I shouldn't have done that at all. Like, what was I thinking? And that was on the 5 minute. This candle was looking really bearish when I took that, and I should have let it close. So what I should have done instead was let this close below here, come back to retest it, and then do the continuation down that way. But that's not what I did. So shot myself in the foot. which sucks, but it is what it is. Okay, and then the 30th, the last day of the week that I took a trade. Shot myself in the foot again per my notes. There we are. So I actually a good trade, a good setup trade. Again, I was being preemptive for sure. I wanted a long for sure, and I should have waited for this order block to properly fill itself out. So I took losses on this one that I should not have taken. It was crazy. And the other thing is, like, I had this 1 micro long. I had a 2 micro long from here, and the stop was like under this order block, so I got stopped out on this candle, which is not the best play. Should have waited. And then I went into a 1 micro long again here with a stop below here. That was good. I added another micro with the same stop, and then I moved them both under here, and I got stopped out of both. And then look, it went up. So again, the moral of the story is, I was being impatient. The setup was good. I was just being impatient, and I should have just waited. Now, I'm curious. So on the 1 minute, so they retraced, we said, okay. So I didn't take any trades on Friday. So on the 1 minute, they ran up, and then they retraced back down, and then they ran up again. So I probably could, on the 1 minute, once they swept all this liquidity, I could have taken this, you know, and then I could have done a 2 micro trade, and then, you know, gotten a walker over trade. But I did not do that. The other thing I could have done that I'm realizing is, like, once we had that big sweep up, I could have taken the entry I took was still decent. And then this would have been a 2 micro trade at this engulfing. And then I would have gotten tagged in here, and then I would have wanted to see it reach up above here to move my stop. This would have looked promising if it took the high up, but I couldn't move it there. So I would have had to leave my stop where it was. I wouldn't have wanted this deeper retracement back in, but they did it. And then look at that beautiful run up. So I was feeling some type of way, no joke about that. I was only aiming for the bodies there. Beautiful trade. So what I should have done while we're waiting for that retracement, I could have waited for the engulfing to tap into one of these. It tapped this guy and then ran up, and then just make sure my stop was below there. I just shouldn't have moved it to here. So either way, it was a good trade. Just don't move your stop too early. All right, well, that's basically it for me. I just wanted to review my trades and see. And honestly, this makes me feel a lot better about the setups, because obviously I'm not going crazy. I just need to not be so aggressive with my entries. Like, not aggressive, but impatient is really the moral of that story. All right, be good, be safe. Shakira out.